with bad haircut, with really bad haircut, but it needs to be said, it needs to be done now in 15-minute video. Please listen to this video because it's so important to listen to this. This is an excellent article, excellent just in its writing. You should be into this, okay? Please watch and listen. The third sex, the truth about gender ambiguity. Neither wholly male nor entirely female, there are more than 30,000 intersexed individuals living in Britain today. Here they talk about their lives. This is by Colette Bernhardt, Saturday, 20th of March 2010, so quite an old article. The Greek scholar Diodorus Siculus wrote of the mythical double-sexed hermaphroditus. Some say he is a god and has a body which is beautiful and delicate, like that of a woman, but has the masculine quality and vigour of a man. But there are some who declare that such creatures of two sexes are monstrosities, and coming rarely into the world as they do, have the quality of presaging the future, sometimes for evil and sometimes for good. Throughout history, those born with both male and female physical features have been beset by society's interpretations of them as freaks. The Lancet branded a British hermaphrodite a disgusting spectacle in 1834. Prophets, the part male, part female character Tiresias in Oedipus Rex and Antigone was a clairvoyant, or both. What they've seldom been allowed to do is just get on with their lives. Even in modern times, tales of intersexed individuals, as they are now known, are often tinged with melancholy. In 1998, a Sunday newspaper reported on the desperately lonely existence of Linda Roberts, who was spat at and stoned in a village in Snowdonia for her androgynous appearance. Last year, the South African track athlete Caster Semenya, then just 18, was subjected to chromosome testing and a humiliating media furor when it was discovered she had no ovaries or uterus, as well as unusually high testosterone levels. The International Association of Athletic Federations remains undecided on whether she is really a woman and has suspended her from competing in major sporting events, including last weekend's World Indoor Championships in Qatar, until a verdict is reached. Semenya has no desire to be a pioneer for the intersex community. She simply wants to concentrate on her running. But there are countless others who are calling for increased recognition of their status, as well as for a moratorium on the practice of sex assignment surgery of intersexed infants. Intersexuality presents itself in numerous different forms, occurring both in individuals with a standard karyotype, the chromosomal makeup of the body's cells, of 46XX technically female or 46XY technically male, and Peace and Party puts technically in there, as well as in those with more unusual karyotype combinations such as 47XXY, Peace and Party, or 47XYY. In one of the most common conditions, congenital adrenal hyperplasia, CAH, overactive adrenal glands can cause a female fetus with XX chromosomes to over-virilize, developing anything from a large clitoris to a fully formed phallus, while the rarer androgen insensitivity syndrome, AIS, can cause a male fetus with XY chromosomes to under-virilize, developing only a partially formed penis and testes. Until recently, the overwhelming response among doctors was to surgically correct a baby's ambiguous genitalia on the grounds that she would in later life be stigmatized by these unconventional appendages. God, these words, wow. From the 1960s, it became common practice to trim down an enlarged clitoris and to fashion a malformed penis into a vagina. The line among surgeons was allegedly, it's easier to dig a hole than build a pole. Intersexed babies with XY chromosomes have therefore frequently been reassigned as female, with parents advised to raise them as girls, and estrogen pills administered to induce female puberty. This is largely due to the hugely influential 1960s optimal gender policy of Psychologist John Money and his famous assertion that nurture could override nature. The prevalence of corrective surgery is in part responsible for our general ignorance about intersexuality, which is far more widespread than most of us realise. The number of live births displaying genital dimorphism is estimated at approximately 1 in every 2,000. That means there could be as many as 30,000 intersex people currently living in Britain, a condition at puberty or when they try to have children. As the renowned professor of neurology and intersex expert Dr. Milton Diamond puts it, nature loves variety. Unfortunately, society hates it. And Peace and Party would actually agree there. Our constant pursuit of perfection has left many children infertile with their gender identity stolen, argues Dr. J. Hayes Light, a specialist in child mental health and the director of the campaigning organisation the UK Intersex Association, UKIA, which formed in 2000. There is this fear that if we have women with large clitorises and men with small penises, it'll be the end of civilization as we know it. In fact, the individuals who end up most damaged are those who are surgically altered without their permission to suit someone else's agenda. Why? Because as well as the physical downsides, reducing a clitoris carries the risk of permanent loss of sensitivity, while reducing a phallus and removing the testes destroys the child's fertility. Hayes Light insists that gender cannot simply be reconfigured through surgery and hormone treatment. His own studies of individuals who are reassigned as infants, some of whom have eventually transitioned back to their original gender and some of whom have committed or attempted suicide, have convinced him that sex is between the legs while gender is between the ears. Most people are hardwired to a gender identity, whether this is male, female, or something in between. Hayes Light, now 48, was himself born with an extremely rare intersex condition, 5-alpha reductase deficiency, 5A or D, in which the chromosomes are XY, but the body is unable to convert testosterone to dihydrotestosterone, which is necessary for the formation of full male genitalia. This was the early 1960s. I was a lab rat, a medical curiosity. What saved me from being poked and prodded and operated on was the fact that my mother was a doctor. Advised that he would be a very happy little girl, Hayes Light's mother nevertheless declined surgery for her son, but she agreed to try raising him as females, and did so until he was 10. I was then asked if I wanted to take estrogen tablets to push my body through a female puberty, he remembers. I refused. Despite this troubled and confusing start to life, Hayes Light considered himself one of the lucky ones. I shudder to think what I'd be like now if I'd been forced to transition. They go on. Adele Adams wasn't given such a choice. Born in the late 1970s, she has Klinefelter syndrome, so is XXY, a chromosomally neither male nor female. In other words, her parents were encouraged to assign her as male, and surgery was performed immediately. In her mind, this was the wrong decision. After a difficult childhood and adolescence, I eventually went into care as my family couldn't cope with what was supposed to be a boy, but looked and sounded more like a girl. She began living as a gay man, yet this didn't feel right either, and 3 years ago, after a lot of fighting, she was granted NHS surgery to make her body female. Now 31, she finally feels that it's all come good, and is passionate about empowering others to find their own gender. Last year, she set up Project Silverfish, a support service for intersex and transgender people. To be honest with you, I'm not going to go through this because there's a lot of stuff on Adele Adams, and as much work as Adele Adams has done for the intersex community, I don't want to give too much YouTube time to it. It's not that I'm against them at all. It's just that we've other things to discuss. And I got to leave it at that because I don't want to go on too long about it. I think that the basic facts were mentioned there at the start of how you can define people, and a few examples of people were given, for people to, to really grasp what has been tried to be given out here of like the fact that intersex people generally are not wanted, essentially, because we rock the boat, essentially, by our pure existence, our natural existence. We're not a disorder. We are, and we're not an abnormality either, because there's more intersex people, in my opinion, if we were all to be diagnosed, if all of you people who think you're normal were to go out and get tested now for your chromosomes, for your hormone levels, and for your state of mind, how you feel yourself to be every day of your lives, could you possibly say that you're 100% male or 100% female? I really don't think many of you can actually say that you're 100%, so intersex brings in a whole, you know, issue that society generally hasn't wanted to deal with, but unfortunately for society, they have to realize that too many intersex children, right, who are born are subjected to doctors' concerns over rocking the boat. Therefore, a lot of intersexed to be children are actually going to be aborted and have been aborted. And if they are born, because you can't control it, because hello, nature, but you can't control it. There's nothing you can really do. You could nearly say that intersex people could actually be a result of pollution. You could say that, but that would just be going to the extreme because there's no point blaming why it happened. Just deal with what's happening. And that's what society needs to do. They need to deal with what's happening rather than putting it under the carpet anymore. Because there's too many intersex people being born. And when they do get born as intersex, generally, yeah, the doctor decides to to um, to sew up the hole, or cut off the pole, you know. Jesus. They don't cut it off, of course. They stick it in and make it a vagina. Push the penis in. We won't get into the ins and outs of it because you, society, don't want to even deal with thinking about that sort of thing, even though it happens every day. And children, like your own children, if you have any, many intersex people are infertile, but not all. And it's a myth to say that if you're intersex that you're infertile because you can't say that. You can't generalize with people. And the unfortunate thing is that too many people are unaware of intersex, and you're all aware of transsexuals, but you haven't a clue about the realities of it's not just males and females out there. And I'm intersex myself. I don't have ambiguous genitalia on the level of you thinking, is that a male or a female? But I do have inside chromosomal major difference because I've got three, you know, not three, sorry, but on the level of extra chromosomes. I'm not even going to get into it because whatever. But and also my testosterone levels are not for a normal fucking male. Sorry for the fucking there, but there you go. It's a passionate subject. It's talking about me and the way society treats me as a male, and also treats me badly on some points because of my hormone imbalance. I'm convinced of that, because when I'm taking my testosterone, this is not for the general public. Tune off now. For all of us who understand the issues with taking hormones through our lives. Not everybody experiences the same thing, but I've experienced absolutely that when I'm not taking my testosterone, I attract weird vibes because probably I'm giving out bad vibes because people, monkeys can sense off each other, vibes, just like a shark. If you're in the water, the shark can fucking sense your fear. Let's be clear. Hello. So that sort of shit happens when you're hormonally imbalanced, in my opinion, and I'm gonna go with that theory, because I'm convinced of it for myself, but that doesn't mean for everybody. So look, I'm waffling now. Yeah. Intersex people are being swept under the carpet, and the issues are not being raised properly. It's all talking about homosexuality, bisexuality, asexuality even, but hardly asexuality too. And intersexual is not a word. Intersex people, are not discussed in the trans thing, in the pride things, this LGBTQ, you're including genderqueer in that. When you have the T in there, it's the transsexuals in there. But you generally don't talk about the I, which is the intersex. And actually, if you think about yourself as being an I, not a me, but an I am. The I is intersex. And even though not everybody agrees with my stance on what intersex is, I believe that, everybody should call themselves an I rather than going into anything else, because I don't care what's in between your legs. You know, I care about, are you a nice person? Have you got a good heart? Have you got a good mind? Are you able to kind of like, discuss things? Are you able to be kind of socialized? And can we have a nice conversation till we argue like fuck? But that's human beings. Monkeys. Ciao. Peace.